top 3 movies of 2024.
So at my number 3, I've got season 1 of Shogun, which I enjoyed a lot. And I put it there because throughout the year, we've kind of been complaining about things like historical accuracy and stuff like that. And this show just kind of showed that if you take into account time and place and have that inform your characters and your plot, what do you know, it actually leads to a good story. And as a result, Shogun was this really gripping political drama where the time and place and who the characters were really informed that. And that made it a better story and made it more enjoyable. And so for that reason, that's my number 3.
Top 3 worst movies of 2024. Oh, brother.
So my number 3 is Gladiator 2.
Oh, wow. No way.
The reason for it is that it's weak or an outright failure on every level. Character, story, setting, everything, right? As a sequel, as a historical movie, as a hero's journey, it's at best underwhelming on every front. And for me, at least, there was nothing that really was good enough to compensate for the weak parts, right? Like the first movie is also not terribly historically accurate, but it's a great hero's journey. And that makes the total package more enjoyable. And here it was just lacking on every front. Also, Ridley Scott, one of the most celebrated filmmakers ever, just turns in this mediocre movie and then goes around picking fights with people in interviews, calling historians stupid, and anybody who doesn't like his movie basically saying it's their fault. All of that just left a bad taste in my mouth and basically left me extremely unimpressed, more so than if it had been some beginner director hired for work, basically, right? I've been reading a little bit about that movie and about like the historical characters and everything, and every change they made to the historical basis just makes the movie worse. Like, I like historical accuracy in movies, but I recognize that sometimes you can change something to make a better story. But every change Ridley Scott made it worse on every front. Just in terms of how Rome is portrayed, in terms of the characters, in terms of the stories that unfold. And that is just deeply unimpressive for somebody with decades of experience who is supposed to be one of the greatest. And so for that reason, I was just not impressed. Just the fact that like the circumstances, who made it and how and why, each contribute to its awfulness. So that's why it made my bottom 3.
I think I'm like somewhere in between the two of you on Gladiator 2, because whilst I enjoyed it as a spectacle in the cinema, it was definitely one of those movies is that every time you thought about the movie, it got progressively worse in every possible way. And again, when we were having the discussion and you started mentioning about some of the characters, the twins and Denzel's character and stuff, everything sounded like they could have made a much better, more interesting movie than they did. Then they sort of kind of delivered here. Weak story, weak characters, not really much going on with the plot. And there's a lot of moments that didn't feel satisfying, or a lot of payoffs that didn't feel satisfying at all.
And for what it's worth, Gladiator 2 narrowly beat out Wicked for that spot.